my sisters and brothers. Mindy here. And today we are going to be talking a little bit about how we can take full responsibility for our lives, 100% responsibility. So this is not another blame game kind of thing. Most of us spend a lot of our lives blaming other people, experiences, situations, things on why we are the way we are and why we aren't embodying more of ourselves. And that is a very disempowering mode of being. And that is not what I want for you. Happiness is an inside job means that you are on top of your game, that you are totally responsible for who you are and what you want to accomplish out of life. And you are the only person who can really fulfill that mission. So today, we're going to look at why we tend to blame things and how we can start to shift out of that and into more internal responsibility for who we are, because then that way, whatever is showing up in our lives, we are going to be empowered to make the most out of it. All right. Bad stuff happens to everybody, but we can get through it, right? Like the people who have the most inspiring stories are the people who have proved the system wrong. The system tells us that it's somebody else's fault, that you can blame that, or that you're not pretty enough, or that you don't have the right clothes, or it's a lot of material stuff. You don't have the right job. Maybe you do have the right job, but you've got a glass ceiling. There's so many things that we create stories around, and it doesn't serve our highest good. It serves only to keep us limited and in a loop of negative energy that wears us out. You might have some amount of success already, but there's something holding you back. There's some internal call that says you can do more, you can be more, you can inspire more people. And that doesn't mean that you have to change the entire world, but what if you just start with your world, your family, your colleagues, your friends? That is what we can do to really inspire growth for everybody. Oh, I think my daughter is cleaning up the kitchen downstairs. So anyways, what a lot of us do is that we blame. We blame other people, other things, situations on what is going on in our life. And that is very disempowering. You say, well, it's my parents' fault because they didn't have enough money growing up. It's that I didn't go to a good enough college, that I didn't go to college at all. I barely graduated high school. That makes me feel not good enough to be able to do X, Y, and Z. Or maybe you don't drive the car that you want, or you don't have, I don't know, high-powered enough friends. There's a lot of things that we can blame our life on. And a lot of it is self-imposed, right? Like, yeah, okay, you did have the parents that you had, and you had the upbringing that you had, but there are people who've had worse who are doing way more, right? So it's what we put our belief in. If we choose to believe that it's our situation, it's our circumstances, it's our skin color or our gender, it's our sexual orientation that keeps us limited or makes us move forward, well then, yeah, it's true. The interesting thing about taking responsibility for your life is that you recognize that whatever you believe, you're going to find ways to prove that to be true. So if you believe that you're not good enough, that you don't hold the value that somebody else might, then you will convince yourself of that by finding all kinds of proofs for it. Now, not everybody else will see those proofs in the exact same way. Like when you talk to your bestie, does she or he give you a whole different perspective than what you've been convincing yourself of? Yeah, because what you're believing is not necessarily true. It's true for you in that moment, but that doesn't mean that it's an eternal truth and it can't change. Having a fresh perspective, looking for truth, not just what you see, but looking for the deeper truths underneath of it. And this is a lot about going in and understanding ourselves. I heard somebody today, his name's Mark, he just said the most amazing thing. He said that, oh, and now I just blanked on it. Anyways, we can absolutely control our lives. And what we focus on is what we will get in our lives, right? Where our focus is says that we will start to move in that direction, and we will start to take intelligent and inspired action in that direction if it's moving us forward. And if it's not moving us forward, we're going to take intelligent, not quite so inspired action to go that direction as well. So if you feel like the whole COVID-19 thing is the worst thing in the world for you, well, then it's the worst thing in the world for you. If you feel like there's no jobs out there, then you're not going to find a job. If you have been put on furlough and it's the best thing that's ever happened to you, well, awesome. It's the best thing that's ever happened to you, and have taken full advantage of what's going on. But if you've had the opposite happen, where you've been put on furlough and it's the worst time in your life because you're focusing on the why me? Why does it always have to happen to me? This is awful. This is the worst thing in the world. Well, then that's also true. So where our mindset is taking us in that direction of creating our world, right? The only thing that we can create is what has started in seed form as thoughts, right? So if you feel like you want to be a freaking millionaire, but you've never ever thought about actually being a millionaire or what it would take to get there, well, then you're just going to stay exactly where you are. Okay. If you want to be able to show up in the world as the person who is capable, who is inspired, who loves life and loves humanity and inspires this world to become better, but you're stuck in a mode of, I'm not good enough and I'm not ever going to be able to change anybody. And, oh, woe is me. Well, those two things don't match. And so it's taking responsibility for it. This has nothing to do with other people. Yeah, you have relationships and you have interactions with other people, and other people have done really bad things to you. But it's allowing yourself the opportunity to recognize that you are in charge of how you respond to what happens in your life. You see, when we react to life, it's from an automatic pattern. It's from a robotic-like person inside of us who has been trained by all the millions of negative influences out there. The ego looks for ways to keep us safe, and that's fantastic, and it really keeps us limited. So if we are always living from a place of ego and reaction to life, then we will always feel like we are a victim to life. And that is not a place where you are going to thrive. However, if you take the same experiences and you embody, you say, all right, this has happened, and now what? What is my belief? What is my purpose? How will I take this and let it be fuel for empowering me to be even better? That has a whole different vibration to it. So if you start to change your vibration, it starts to change your thoughts, changes your focus, it changes the actions that you are taking. All right. Now, we do tend to blame people. All right. I've been there before. I've blamed my parents for things. I've blamed my husband for, whatever. I've blamed my children for blah, blah, blah. We've all blamed somebody or something in our lives before. I blamed my boss. The funny thing is that I'm my boss. I've always been an entrepreneur. But you've probably blamed your boss if you work for somebody for something that's gone wrong in your life. Like they don't take it, they don't listen to you, they don't value you enough, they don't utilize you, you're underutilized. So look at all of these things where we're putting energy into blame. All right, something bad has happened to you and you are blaming this situation for you. Now, I have a firm belief that the universe is always working for my highest good and healing. And so if I know that the universe is there supporting me, God, Mother is there supporting me, always, not just some of the time, but always, why has this thing come into my life? All right. So one of the worst things that I have dealt with was one of my sisters who I felt really very close to. We grew up together, we were 2 years apart versus like the 8 and the 15 years apart that I was with my other siblings. And she'd moved to the town that I lived in with her son and her husband. And, well, like I really just loved on my sister and I wanted her to be a part of our life. I included her in our neighborhood things and invited her over to the house all the time. I was at her house all the time. And then shortly after my first daughter was born, so this was about 11 years ago, she invited me over just like she normally does. And I went over by myself that day, and she said like really awful things to me. Stuff that I guess had been building up inside of her for a really long time. Like I was the most judgmental person she knew. I was actually the worst person she knew, except for my husband, who was actually worse. Okay, like this really hard stuff to deal with. So then I went into, like ego defense mode and then put it back on her instead of going, wow, this is happening. Okay, I hear you, and not going to believe you or not going to like buy into this story, because almost always it's not about you 100%. Okay, you've taken part in this, so you can really take responsibility for the part that you've taken on. But when somebody tells you something that really hurts your ego, it's hard not to put the blame on them or on other circumstances, right? That was one of the hardest things that I had to do. And so by her basically telling me that I was an awful person, I could have let that limit me and taken that on as part of my story to then affect me every single day from that day forward. Or I could use that as fuel to make me understand myself more, understand how I can relate to other people more, understanding that some people see judgment because judgment is what they see. And if the opposite of judgment is acceptance, maybe that's what she was calling out for. Maybe that's what my soul was calling out for, was to be fully accepting of who I am, fully accepting of who she is, right? So whatever the world is giving you, that's basically what your soul needs. It needs to see that so it can heal in the opposite direction. This world that we live in is a world of duality, right? Opposites, they're always there, but you can't have one opposite without the other. And so you can't have judgment without acceptance. And if the world is bringing you judgment or criticism or hatred, what if you respond with acceptance, with love, with cherishing, nurturing your soul? Oh, that's what your soul needs. That's what you need. You need that love and that acceptance within. So I think that the world brings us these hardships so that we can heal the opposite side of the spectrum. The ego will always go toward the side of self-blame and self-loathing. Who here has not harmed themselves mentally and emotionally because they thought they weren't good enough? Because they didn't have the right education, because you just weren't freaking as amazing as the next person. Oh, everybody has felt that. Everybody has felt that. That's the ego. The soul says, honey, you are good enough. You are everything you need to be the person you came here to be, to fulfill your soul's mission. Let's flip this on its head. Let's judo flip it, like one of my coaches used to say, and see the possibilities on the other side of the coin, right? Within, like the yin yang symbol, within extreme darkness, there is light. Within extreme light, there is a smidge of darkness because of this world of duality. So you've been on maybe one of your most highs ever. Like last freaking Friday, it was my birthday. I felt great. I felt totally embodied in who I was. I was all light. And yet in that light, there was a smidge of darkness. My ego said, no, it's not safe to do that. You can't shine that brightly, right? My soul knows my capacity. Your soul knows your capacity. We are freaking amazing human beings. It's just that we let our minds convince us that we aren't. So, what if you start to recognize that you always have a choice? Always have a choice. You can live in reaction mode, which makes you feel like you don't have a choice. Or you can pause and you can breathe. You can see what's happening in your life clearly and then ask some really good questions. What can I receive out of this experience? What's the opposite side of what's happening to me? What is really being brought forth in this situation? Who am I? And how can I serve the world better? Serving is a great way to start to take responsibility for who you are. Don't serve from a place of empty because it's like the only thing you can do to make yourself better. That doesn't make any sense. Start to understand yourself. Start to really fill yourself up with your truth, your belief that you are an amazing human being, that you have the skills that you need in the only way, and only the way you can bring them forth to help this world. You are already who you need to be. So start to challenge the things in your mind and in your heart that say you aren't. This is taking full responsibility for your life. This is saying, I am worthy. I am capable. I am amazing. I am confident. I am creative. I am so many things, and I am everything I need to be in this moment. And the parts of you that tell you no, they're BS. They're bullshit. They're your belief systems. It's just trying to keep you small and safe, okay? Taking 100% responsibility for your internal world allows you to create the world on the outside that you know you deserve and you know is meant for you. You were destined for that. So stop fighting for the stories that are keeping you small and freaking exhausted and start fighting for the things you want in life, right? Prove the system wrong. I said earlier that there are millions of things out there telling us that we are not good enough. Television, commercials, the news. Yeah, the news focuses on the wrong thing all the freaking time because it wants to keep you in this mode of hurt and harm and I'm not safe and I'm not good enough. But what about the other side of the spectrum that they're ignoring, right? The news is all about sensationalism, and what gets news coverage is what is most sensational and most dramatic. But that is not what is the normal for almost anyone. Yes, it happens. And I bless the people that are on the news who do have terrible things happening to them because it is real for them. And it is not real for all people, right? Yes, we have a lot of people who've lost their jobs because of COVID-19. And there are a lot of people who there are even more people who still have their jobs, who are working in a new way because they've been able to adapt. That's what taking responsibility for your life enables you to do. And it lets you adapt to what comes into your life. Because what's coming into your life is supposed to be there to teach you to become a part of who you really are. And it feels really great when you start to take ownership. You take ownership of who you are and you stop blaming anyone or anything for who you are. Now, sometimes when you take responsibility for who you are, stuff has to change. Stuff has to happen in order for you to continue to evolve down that path. And that's okay. This doesn't mean that everything is going to stay the same. Evolution is a constant motion of who you are meant to be. And it ebbs and flows just a little bit, right? You're meandering down the stream of life. Sometimes you might even hit some rapids. But if you have the skills and the tools to know that this is water and this is how I deal with it, you're going to flow with it and you're going to smile and hoop and holler because you're having fun in those rapids. Right? Hope everybody's still with me here. Basically, taking responsibility for your life means knowing who you are. You understand your story, and you don't let your story limit you anymore. You understand that you are greater than you even imagined. And when you put your mind and your heart and your spirit together into creative, inspired, consistent action to make your dreams come true, they will. And don't stop 3 inches before the gold. Don't stop going for your dreams when you are about ready to hit them. That's when it feels like, oh, I've lost it all, or I'm never going to make any progress. Your mind will tell you and trick you into believing all kinds of things, but you are potentially inches from the gold. You are who you need to be. You possess the skills that you need to live your life in the fullest way possible. You can be a millionaire if you want to be. You can be a mama, a stay-at-home mama if you want to be. You can be a corporate badass if you want to be. You can be anything you want to be. It's kind of funny. I feel like I'm talking to my children in just a second. Fall down and get back up. Yes, exactly. It doesn't matter how many times we fail, because failure is just an opportunity for us to get closer to the next step of success. There's something to learn from every experience in our lives. Something we can all learn from everything in our lives. And when you start to have that perspective, that's the spiritual mindset that's going to take you freaking far. You will be able to have both spiritual success and material success. And that's really what I want for you. I want that for everybody on this planet. This is not a planet of limitations, no matter what anyone says. We all have the ability to break free of our patterns, break free of our self-imposed prisons, and step forward into the light and soar. Learn from your shadow. Learn from the depths that you have gone down into. The deepest, darkest days that you've ever had, they come through and they open up into more wisdom, more light, and really, truly honoring everything you've been through, but not letting it limit you. That's taking responsibility for your life. And flip, you can really move mountains when you are in that mindset. That's what I do. That's how I help people, is to really see through what is limiting you. Sometimes understanding our mindset and understanding how we work, it's like, what is it? What am I looking at? The forest or the trees? I can't tell, because it just looks like the same thing. Our own normal is so normal, it feels normal to us that we can't tell that it's different than somebody else. But again, like when you talk with your best friend, they give you a whole different perspective of what you're going through because they see it from a different angle. Yeah. You can open up your mindset to see that new angle, to understand yourself from a completely different perspective that you've never even considered before, because your soul is yearning for it. Your soul wants you to be amazing. She or he wants you to be your biggest, brightest self. And there is a reason that your soul is calling you for this action right now. The world needs you. The world really needs you to step up, to stop believing in your BS, your belief systems, and really allow yourself to open to the potential that you are. You're freaking amazing. I see it. You see it. Even if you don't see it clearly, start taking a step in that direction. Start taking a step in the direction that your soul is calling you to do. And your ego gets in the way, it's okay. Say, hello, ego, you tricky little bastard. Hey, you're trying to fool me again. I'm not going to buy it this time. I know where I am going. I have my true North Star, and I am unstoppable. When you live there, anything is possible. You are possible. You are amazing. And that's what I want for you. All right. So If you're interested in learning more about this, I have an amazing program that's coming up pretty soon. And I love working with inspired women specifically. I love my men too, but I work with women primarily because I want you to know your value, to know your worth, and to shine as bright and as brilliant as possible. All right. If this interests you, set up a chat with me. I do 45 minutes of a free call just so that you can get clear on what is holding you back and to see if this work is right for you. I don't invite everybody into this program, but the people who are right for it, I do. All right. If you want to go, all you have to do is check out mindyarbuckle.com/talk. mindyarbuckle.com/talk. And I will love spending 45 minutes or an hour with you. I love serving people. It's totally free because I want to serve. I want to serve humanity in a way that only I can. Just like you have a mission that only you can do, I have a mission that only I can do. And I am here to serve this world, to light it up, and to help inspire people to be their fullest. If that sounds like you want guidance in that, set up a call with me and we will talk early next week. And so much love to you. I hope you have an amazing weekend. When you are watching things like this, if you catch it, take a moment at the end because you're probably a little fired up right now. You understand yourself maybe a little bit better. Take a moment to just write out 2 or 3 distinctions that really made sense for you, something that you're going to take away. Because if you just leave and you don't write anything out, you don't leave any comments, you don't take any notes, then it usually just sort of fades and it trickles away and it goes back into the background of who you are. And you felt that possibility, but now it feels a little farther away. If you take the time to really write down and share with us your distinctions, what made sense for you, your takeaways, it will help implant it even deeper into your being, into your subconscious, into your conscious mind, and you will embody this wisdom for much longer. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be all of you. All right. Hope you have a fantastic weekend again. And I will see all of you on Monday afternoon for another live. Mwah.